Hey, we're back. I'm your host, BKP, and we're live in downtown Blue Ridge at the Vault. Come on down here. A full breakfast menu. This place is going to start getting real busy. Fresh coffee. But today I have with me, my next guest is Anthony Walden. And before I bring Deputy Walden into our conversation, I told you yesterday that up here at the Chamber of Commerce, Fannin County Chamber of Commerce, hosted at the Blue Ridge Swim and Tennis Club a law enforcement appreciation breakfast yesterday morning where Speaker of the House David Ralston and also State Senator Steve Gooch, I don't want to leave anybody out, were there yesterday morning to show their appreciation of law enforcement. Deputy Walden, thank you for being here this morning.
Glad to be here, Brian. Thank you.
And you know, I'm about headed to here with opening my show almost on a daily basis, talking about someone in law enforcement being shot, or it's getting me. I don't know. You were at that breakfast yesterday morning, packed room, guys from everywhere, huh? Different agencies. We
had GBI Fire, we had Sheriff's Office, we had 3 sheriffs from local counties. It was a very good meeting, very good.
Now you are currently you're at the middle school school resource officer there. How long have you been, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been with the Fannin County Sheriff's Department office?
I started in '93. Went for a period of time, got out of law enforcement, went into corrections, real estate, and then back when Dane took office 8 years ago, I've been with him ever since.
You know, talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about law enforcement right now and the climate of law enforcement, regardless if you're in Fannin County, you're in Atlanta, you're in Union County, or whatever. Talk a little bit about the climate of law enforcement and where we're at right now.
Well, nationwide, it's been, like you said, this has been a bad year for law enforcement all the way around when it comes to the numbers of deaths, officers shot in the line of duty. And it seemed like there's been an animosity toward proactive law enforcement. And you know, these things have happened to several officers throughout our country. It's always, they're on trial for every shooting they have, any incident they have before it ever makes it to a review board or anything else. They're already put on trial with the media. And we see in lots of these cases where they've been accused of wrongdoings that it's came back and they've been cleared, but their names have been marred, reputations have been marred, homes and families have been disrupted by all the harassment that comes from it. But people who put this uniform on and put the badge on expect that we're going to have some negativity come with the job.
Well, you know, so you brought up a point. Law enforcement, in fact, what took place in Charlotte, the officer there, the district attorney, couldn't actually put enough evidence that the district attorney felt to even take it to trial.
Right.
But that doesn't change, like you said, it destroys officers, basically destroys their life, their reputation, their career, and so on and so forth.
Mental well-being.
And their mental well-being also. That being said, also, you know, you brought up another very valid point, is we're in a we're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but where it comes to law enforcement, it seems like anything that happens, they're immediately found guilty, regardless if they are or not.
Right. Well, we're really hoping with a change in administration that we have nationwide that we'll see a change come back on those type of things. I mean, we ought to be willing to be scrutinized. We ought, you know, law enforcement, you ought to, you know, we're held to a different standard. We ought to be willing for people to look at what we do and see was it good or bad, but we ought to have that benefit of the doubt given until those resources that are out there for the reviews and investigation of these things to be done before it's actually, you know, put out here on the media that we got bad cops. And we have got, there's, you know, not everybody that puts on the uniform deserves to be putting on the uniform. And that again comes with the difficulty we have here in Fannin County and across the nation. It's the pay grade has just not been where it ought to be to get the type people that you'd like to keep. We've lost several here in our community in the last few months, some of our best officers, just because they went to neighboring counties and made a little more money. And thank goodness our sheriff, he's working real hard to get that taken care of. Speaker Ralston, man, what the state of Georgia has done for state employees is just great. I mean, they've been behind the scale for decades.
Yes, they have. They have been. I mean, if you got into the discussion of pay rates, you would be all over the board of people that approve, disapprove, whatever. But the reality is, the pay rate in Georgia was very close to the bottom.
It was the bottom.
It was Georgia State Patrol was the bottom.
Speaker Ralston said
okay,
yes. 50 out of 50.
Okay, I thought. Okay, yeah. I knew it was there. I knew it was next to the bottom. So, our Georgia State Patrol was at the bottom.
Absolutely.
And reality is their standard is always pulled the others along with it. Would I be right about that? Is that if they are paid here, then other law enforcement agencies,
well, that's
in some ways,
not necessarily. The city of Atlanta, the city departments around the metros, they pay so much better. That's where GSP were training men.
Okay.
And then those local departments were taking men from GSP.
Oh, all right. That's what you're saying.
Because their pay was so much better. Then local sheriff's departments are based pretty much on the regions they're in. So I mean,
I understand.
There's not a scale that's statewide other than state employees, and it's been way below. I mean, we'd have the you've been out to some of the career days that we've had at the middle school, and we'd have beauticians come in making more money. We'd have just about anything you brought in. Phlebotomists, they'd come in and they'd tell the kids what their starting salary was. Then we'd have GBI agents, or we'd have the state patrol come in and they'd say, well, I've got a 2-year degree and I started out $34,000, and it's like these kids are saying, well, I can draw blood and make more money than that,
Well, you have our full respect as a business, veterannews.com, and support, and you have my personal full respect, because I always say the officer that walks up to a window, pulls the car over and walks up to a window, that's a long walk, not knowing what's there. And the majority of the time that stop goes well. But then there's the ones that don't, and so on and so forth. So what I've always said, the job I would not go out and like serve papers, knock on doors. What's behind it. So I'm just saying, you have my full respect, because I understand on a day-to-day basis that there's dangers that are unforeseen to me that the men and women in law enforcement go into without question. It's their job.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a heart for it.
Right.
And not everybody's got the heart for it. I told the kids the other day in our career day that we had at elementary schools at Blue Ridge, they had different careers come in and speak, and I luckily drew the kindergarten classes. So that was pretty interesting. But the bottom line was, if you're going to be in law enforcement, you got to have a heart for people. Sheriff Kirby, when he first took office, one of the things he said, I expect you to do your job, but I expect you to be kind. And he said, it don't cost you anything to be kind. We deal with all elements of society. Some are, most of the time what we're dealing with are the negative elements.
Right, I understand that.
And it don't help you in your job to be, use attitudes that are not acceptable in dealing with that situation. It's always better to deal with them like you'd want somebody to treat your family members. And we've got a good bunch of guys in Fannin County. I've worked with these guys for years. A lot of these guys I started with in '93. Some of them that's still here. And the ability to talk a person in the vehicle is a lot easier than putting hands on. I've been doing this since '93. Never have had to have a use of force, and I had never had to fill out a use of force in that amount of years. And a lot of the guys I work with are in the same situation. Small community, everybody, and that goes a long way. But Fannin County's changed a lot too. We're dealing with a lot of different issues.
That is a very valid point, very strong, valid point. If you're in Fannin County, and I always call it I call it we live in the it can never happen here zone, and we get caught off guard because it's starting to happen here.
We've saw it all in the last 8 years. We've saw just about everything.
Absolutely. Let me ask you a question, because I know you have to get back. School resource officers. Now, that has obviously changed. I mean, when I was in high school and middle school, it just never dawned on me that we would have full-time school resource officers. What are the kind of things that you guys see, the men and women see as school resource officers, and some of the duties and the need for it?
Well, our duties vary.
Because I know you've seen the change. I mean,
absolutely,
you've seen the change.
I've graduated here, grew
Right.
up and raised here. You know, but when I grew up here, a divorce situation was just a very rare. You know, I mean, in the class of '82 that I graduated with, you could probably count on two hands the numbers of kids that didn't come from a home where they had their complete
Right.
family unit. Now then we've got the disintegration of the family unit. These kids are coming to school dealing with issues that, you know, educators, law enforcement, the things we're dealing with now is the psychological as much and emotional as much as the criminal activity. I mean, these kids come to school and, you know, they're dealing with mom that just got arrested, or they don't know where mom's at, or dad just got arrested, and they're coming to school and, you know, and they're acting out sometimes. Sometimes they're just not producing because they got so much other stuff going on in their mind. And so teachers use us a lot. You know, they use us as sounding boards about what's going on in the family. You know, could this kid be acting out because of situations at home, or could they not be doing their work because they're not getting the sleep they should be, or are they not getting the food they need? You know, so there's a lot of different aspects that having a resource officer in the school does. Now, we're not just primarily in there to enforce the law. We teach. We got the CHAMPS program that is done in all the elementary.
That's a very good program.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we've seen a change. Gosh, the 8 years I've been here, when we first came in 8 years ago, and you can see it in cycles. It's just like I mean, sometimes teachers see a kindergarten class come through and they say, you're going to have problems out of this kindergarten class all the way. I mean, it's funny how those things happen. But when I came 8 years ago, boy, the middle school was a mess. I mean, we were having major, had methamphetamine arrest, had marijuana arrest, we had pills, we had over-the-counter medication arrest on a regular basis, we had runaways continuing out of that class, dealing with them as adults now. And right now, I guess,
in the middle school.
In the middle school.
And see, sometimes, and I mean, I'm listening to you because at the time when these things are taking place, when you got there, and I want you to go back on that a little bit, it kind of catches me off guard because I had somebody that wanted to talk about the sexting,
huge.
right? And our district attorney went to resource officers and said, you know, we got this problem. And one resource officer, she said she wanted to put together, B. Allison Sosa, she wanted to put together a program on sexting for the high school. And a resource officer looked and said, well, okay, but middle school's where you better go to. You better get to the middle school. So it kind of is alarming to us, I guess, out here that these kind of things are starting through the middle schools. Well, Brian, I didn't mean to catch you off guard.
No, that's not.
When you
were talking about, we actually, the computer, Miss Bailey's class, she teaches computers and keyboarding, and I got seeing that there was a big problem with computer safety. I mean, just kids using the internet and they're connecting with people, and I was seeing FBI studies where they were saying 50 to 90,000 predators are online at any given minute.
Absolutely.
And so I sat down and developed a PowerPoint that I've been doing at the middle school for 7 years now on computer safety, sexting, and all those kind of things. And so we were ahead of the curve on that in Fannin County Middle School.
Oh, I know.
And she went to a meeting, Miss Bailey did that, and she said the GBI was teaching this part of the meeting for the Georgia educators. And she asked how many of y'all have got a program dealing with these issues. And she said she was the only teacher out of the group of teachers that was there that had a program dealing with those issues. And you're talking about sexting. The reason we're seeing happening at the middle school age is because they've all got a phone.
Yes.
And you know, I told them, I said, we're giving them technology that connects them with the entire world, not just their best friend, but the entire world. And we're giving it to a 10, 11, 12-year-old kid, 13, 14-year-old kid, and we're giving them very little instructions about the dangers of it. Mom and dad's not, cell companies are not, and we give them that device and, you know, driver's license. They 15 years old, you give them a learner's permit for a year before you ever put them behind the wheel, but we're giving them technology that, in my opinion, is way worse more dangers involved in it than driving, because the people that puts them in contact with them, we're giving them very little instruction. So it's hard to blame the kids, because curiosity at that age is just
hey, they're kids, and we're supposed to be the adults, but we take them, and I think the thought that maybe you and I have, just we see it every day, but we take them and we still say we're going to get them a phone, but actually the phone is the least part of what they use.
absolutely.
Right, you say we go with the intention, like, we're going to get our kid, going down to the cell phone store to get our kid a phone. We still say that, right? But the phone actual side of it is the least amount of what's used on these devices. Right?
Absolutely. The camera,
Yes.
and video,
Yes.
texting, and there's not a week goes by that we don't have issues with. That's literally not an understatement. Not a week that goes by in our school system we don't have an issue with a phone. It's usually could be a life-changing issue. And the bottom line is that $3 apps can give parents access to everything that phone does. I mean, there's so many things, so many ways to prevent a lot of this happening, but we're just not utilizing that because it's not being made known. When I tell parents, you can get an app at, the store will give you a way to track your phone, track your child, everything that phone does, it comes to your phone and alerts you. So many blocks you can put on, but it's just not the phone's being sold, but the protections that go with it is not being pushed a whole lot, and we need to get better at that.
Well, we've talked a lot about that, and I didn't mean to get sidetracked on several issues, but I will say there may be some out there, and not in a critical way, but they see the school resource officer up at the middle school, and they might just think, well, what are you doing? Well, this is just not the school, and it's not just Fannin County. And it's not that Fannin County is doing so many bad things, but this is just not the school. As they used to say, this is not the Buick your dad drove. This is not the school that we went to when we were kids. It's a different situation that the young people are in.
It is.
Well, we appreciate you very much. Anything? How many? You mind me? How many were in the room yesterday at law enforcement?
Oh, gracious!
I heard it was packed.
It was full. I mean, we had a good showing from the sheriff's office. Like I said, there were GBI agents there. We had investigators from the sheriff's office, road deputies from the sheriff's office, jailers from. We had a good showing.
We had a sheriff from Pickens County, Donnie Craig was up. We had a sheriff from Gilmer County.
Stacy was there.
Stacy was there. Several, yes.
Yeah, and it was very good. I mean, it was very well received with everybody there. I mean, and Speaker Ralston, the things that he had to give, the information that he was able to relay about what was happening with state law enforcement was very encouraging, not only for them, because I know Dane's right now trying to get an increase in the budget for our deputies because, like I said, he's losing some of his best men because of the, and so it was encouraging. If it's happening at state level, sooner or later we believe it's going to come down to this level.
Well, hopefully with this next administration, as you brought up, I call it the balance could return. The balance of good officers, not being negative, but the balance of good officers respecting the people they serve and protect, and the people respecting the officer and respecting the uniform. And maybe I'm just out there, but maybe the balance of when I was a kid and you respected law enforcement, maybe we can get back to that. I don't know. It's a hope I have.
Well, I'm sure liking what we're hearing.
Huh?
I'm sure liking what we're hearing.
You like what we're hearing?
Yeah, just last evening hearing his thank you address talking about what the changes he was going to see pushed. And it starts at the top.
Yes, it does.
It starts at the top.
Well, I don't think we're going to have, and we might need to caution ourselves what road we go down, but I don't think we're going to have a Justice Department, my personal feeling, that when something happens, immediately convicts law enforcement in my eyes before and takes a side,
Well, Brian, if we'd have continued the direction we was going, it wouldn't have been long. It'd have been hard to find anybody who wanted to be in law enforcement.
Friend, this is only a 2-hour show. Listen, thank you very much, and we want to tell you from our viewers, because we know our viewers out there and we know what they're saying. I know the people that text me and send me messages, so we want to say from our viewers, And we want to say it to you, as everybody in law enforcement. Thank you. We appreciate you. And I know you got your hands full at the middle school.
Oh, we got a good school.
It's a good school. No, it's a good school.
Yeah.
I want to make sure we're not implying it's not.
Right.
But your hands are full. We know that over there.
They're better than I was. I'll leave it at that.
And trust me, on a daily basis, I thank God that these were not available.
Oh, yes.
We're going to take a brief break. We have been with School Resource Officer, Deputy from the Fannin County Sheriff's Office, Anthony Walden. And again, it's a great opportunity to sit down with law enforcement and say thank you in these troubled times that we're having to our law enforcement. I'm your host, BKP. We're at the Vault. Everybody just came in for coffee, so I feel the polar vortex is still out there. It's cold. Everybody's wrapped up. Take us a break, Cole.